I saw that I was banned from Instagram Live, bro, I thought, well, do you know what? I can feel the spirit in me saying, just talk now, even if it's just for 10 minutes, just share that energy. You know, Babylon's trying to censor me hard. It's saying 7 days, but to be honest, I've got too much still to share. I know that won't make it to 7 days until they send it.
Bro, obviously, this is the realization, isn't it? You know, they don't want these messages to get out there, the messages that are going to empower people to take back their power. You know what I mean? To give them the tools, the knowledge, and the know-how in order to go out there and fight against this dirty system. You know what I mean? So, yeah, what you're doing is powerful work, bro. It's powerful work. Do you know what I'm saying, bro? I rate you for it. I love your passion for it, yeah. But it's like, it's the level of, you know, professionalism and rawness at the same time that you carry with you is very admirable, bro. It really is. You're a powerful kid.
Thank you. It takes for this level of leadership that I'm trying to embody, I feel I'm embodying, it does take, I like the word professionalism. I think that comes from my almost a decade now of being a Buddhist and realizing all the training, you know, it's like obviously to speaking out about, for instance, an LGBT agenda or a transgender agenda to destroy the genders on the planet and stuff. It has to be spoken about with deep wisdom and deep respect for people that are also going through that themselves. It's not black and white, it's going, all transgendered people are pedophiles and you're trying to destroy children. That's an absolute joke. And actually, that's what Babylon want us to do. They set that for the more basic of minds. You know, the people that are more reactive. They'll just react. They'll see the news. They'll see a whole bunch of transgendered people march and saying, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children. And they'll be that basic. They'll think that that's what all transgendered people want.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? They're just getting battered, bro, by the winds. So, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. A lot of people will buy what they see and hear. Gospel, like, it's one of those ones. The eyes are useless if the mind is blind, yeah. And a lot of people will see whatever it is that they see and just buy into it without actually taking a step back. They say detach yourself from your physical vessel, detach yourself from your feelings, the thoughts, and observe it from your true self. And then observe how you feel, what comes to the surface. But a lot of people aren't there yet, my bro.
Yeah, they've been trained to be reactional. I remember my ex, man, she's like my best friend now. She always tells me this guidance because I've been very reactional in the past, being like red-blooded Leo male. I've often just gone bang to something, and she's always said, Indigo, man, you've got to observe, don't react. Observe, don't react. And I've got it in front of my gohonzin wherever I'm chanting. I've got them words written. Just observe, don't react. It's like the submarine thing, for instance. Like, you just got to sit back and observe it and look at everything and feel you within your instincts. And but then again, bro, it depends how people see the world. That's the thing.
Of course.
See a world where there's leaders that once enslaved our ancestors. This is the thing. Me and you, our ancestors was enslaved legally. So maybe we might see the world slightly different now. We might be like, maybe the same Babylon system's doing the same thing.
Bro, do you know the deepest thing? For our ancestors on one side would have been enslaved. And then for me, boy, on the other side could have been slave owners.
Yeah. I've had that myself within myself, that kind of like bouncing between my white side comes more from Ireland. So I've come to the conclusion that both sides were all slaves at some point. You know, the Irish were heavily enslaved and people don't really talk about that either. But I've had to grow up with, as you've no doubt had to, grow up with like a white family and the way that they react. Did your white family always used to say to you, you're so handsome, I wish I had your skin, it's so olive, it's so brown?
Your lips, your hair, you know, all of that, bro. Bro, like, yeah, they're to levels, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds mad. But like, I even had like my mum comment on like my private areas and shit like that, bro. Growing up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bro, there's that element of being like a trophy charge, you know what I'm saying? Because when it's different to obviously the parents. So, bro, yeah, it was hard, man. It caused me to develop a very unstable relationship with myself.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? So with that, yeah, I feel you, that element of, like, you know, I wish I had skin like yours. I wish, actually, you know, sometimes people feel like it can be building you up. It can be a positive, but actually it can be quite damaging. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
quite damaging, bro.
I think so. The reason I felt it was important for us to talk today is because you've just come off of a 2-day wellness camp, as you call it. I think it's so important to call it that, man, because like I had a little laugh with you afterwards. So many people, man, trying to they think they can bust a retreat, yeah, because they went on one retreat and now they think that they're sensei and that they can run all the fucking retreats. And yeah, man, I love the idea of a wellness camp.
Bro, your signal.
Yeah, breaking out. How about now?
Wait, yeah. I think that's back. It's back.
Okay, cool. So I was saying,
getting the gist going.
And if that happens again, just let me know. But I thought it would be important for me to ask you and for us to just discuss, like, what does it mean in this moment to be a man, and specifically, what does it mean to then lead other men in this time where there is so much conversation about assisting men to be more feminine, if that's what they want to do, for instance, which is something that I'm not trying to protect or unprotect. It's just not something I'm not in that playground. What does it mean to be also to defend the lion-hearted courage that is required of a red-blooded male right now, which is what I would personally believe they're also trying to weaken, so that I've been saying it for the last 10 years. The last threat for this agenda is the red-blooded male, in a sense, because they're the ones, not to disrespect the females, of course, we work in total unison, but it's the women protect us spiritually while we protect them physically in this realm.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Like when they're trying to soften us, they're trying to make it, I know so many people that say they insist that I'm a cis male. I don't know if you have ever heard of this idea of, like, you're a cis male, which means you're just a biological male, but as part of this agenda, especially in the kind of the LGBT agenda, some of these trans men and stuff, it's becoming like almost a culture, like just a biological male doesn't exist anymore. It's like you have to be a certain version of it. And I'm here personally to stand up and just vocalize unapologetically, I am a straight male and have a warrior spirit in me, and I have a good balance of my own feminine within me, but it doesn't make me a feminine man. So maybe we could discuss that, as I've only just come back from my first circle, and I'll talk about that afterwards, but you're actually someone who's leading men, and how are you finding it? Are you finding it difficult right now to have them masculine conversations? Do you feel you have to walk on water to, on eggshells to not disrespect anyone? It'd be interesting.
You know what? Like, there is a sense, especially within the way that society is at the moment, where in order to stand in your authenticity as a man, as a divine masculine, honoring who it is that you are and what it is that you stand for and represent, is like, that's frowned upon at the moment, bro. That's one of those ones. They don't want people standing in their authenticity. They don't want you using your voice. They don't want you putting in firm boundaries and expectations. Do you know what I'm saying? There is definitely a sense of that within the system, where, as men, our masculine ways are being suppressed by others or by ourselves. Due to the expectation of others. Do you know what I'm saying? Is the world's softening, bruv.
Yeah. It's becoming like a snowflake era, but it's done by design. Bruv. It's done by design. Softening. Yeah.
And it's to see this softening take place, it's like there's elements of it that are positive. Yeah, we can't disregard those elements, and we'll come to those in a second. But the thing is like there's so many negatives from this, because what it's doing is it's causing men to suppress their own natural nature. Do you know what I mean? What comes to them without them even thinking about it. Yeah. They have to suppress it, because sometimes if they embody what it is that's coming to the surface, they get knocked down. They get knocked down, you know what I mean? There's these lost mindsets around what toxic masculinity is. You know what I mean? What a man is, what a man stands for. Like, boy, if you stand up and put your foot down and say, this isn't acceptable, more time as a man nowadays, you're going to be frowned upon. You're going to be, you're going to have your name tarnished, dragged through the mud in some respect. Whereas you're going to be celebrated for sitting down and saying nothing, for doing nothing.
Wow.
keeping your mouth shut for like, yeah, for not honoring yourself and your brothers, your family, whoever it be. Do you know what I'm saying? One thing I've spoke about is the way that the system has started breaking down the family, yeah, by removing the man. Check this, yeah, bro. You can have a picnic, you know, not you, women can have a picnic, get a yard, be financially comfortable, raise that child, and live their life without the need for a man, you know. Without the need for a man, you can go and get inseminated. You can contact the council. You can get given a yard. You can go on universal credit and get given money.
Wow. Wow. So it's
You
like
don't need a man, bruv.
Structure has been designed to replace the man so that it can almost become.
So how many baby mums here out there go like, and I don't even like using these words, but like, this is just the real. I don't need no man. I don't need no baby father. I don't need him. I don't need, like, so there's this blockage. Do you know what I mean? Like, one you see it a lot when we talk about men and like mental health, and it's like there's this strong sense of men's worth is only, or men's value is only kind of like judged upon what it is that they bring to the table. What is it that you're able to do? What is it that you're able to do for me?
Yeah.
And you know, I get it, understanding the masculine and the feminine in certain respects, but it's like society has now been designed in a way where, yeah, as a man, we could just be pushed to the sideline, and women will still be left to feel, or that feminine way will still be left to feel like they can do everything that they need to do in this world without a man, you know? So like for us as men, it does feel like our role as a man is being taken away from us. Now, there's so many factors. Like you say, like you said, the softening, but I say there's some positives. Like for us as men, we do need to learn to be softer within ourselves, but it's not a softer as in how we choose to show up, but it's a softness in a way of developing the ability to honor our softness when necessary and embrace our strength, you know, embrace that lion within when necessary. Problem is, like I say, the softness is causing people to be fearful of even standing up and beating down their chest, singing their song. You know what I'm saying? But actually what we need is people that are willing to beat down their chest, sing their song, open their voice, make their voice heard, open their mouth, make their voice heard, but also have the knowledge of how to be soft. Because, okay, soft, what's softness? Compassion, empathy. Do you know what I mean? It's the willingness to be in a standing of someone else's situation, you know, to be willing to hold them, nurture them. You know, there's positives, but as men collective, there's a very small percentage of men that really explore that side of what it is we have as part of us, you know, the feminine part of us. Now, it's not to become feminine, it's to embrace our feminine energies so that we can, you know, integrate our feminine and our masculine. As we honor and embrace our feminine, we enhance our masculine and our relationship with ourselves, which gives us a better understanding of who we are and more comfortability in standing true with who we are and not feeling fearful and uncomfortable at the idea of somebody else's opinion. Because man is a man, and I'm here for a purpose, and I know my purpose, and I know that I'm connected to my heart. Do you know what I mean? I know that my purpose is pure, so you can't tell me shit.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying? And like, it's hard, man. It is hard because a lot, like as men, and especially for the type of men that I surround myself with, and men that you would surround yourself with on a more regular basis, you know, that tapping into the feminine, the exploration of tapping into the feminine is a rarity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then what happened is you kind of push it away, you block it out. And that's a lot of guys out there, in my own personal opinion, bro, don't embody toxic masculinity. A lot of guys out there embody toxic femininity. Okay. They don't know how to embrace the feminine within. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? A lot of the time it's like, it's easy to just go, oh, masculine. No, it's because sometimes we haven't learned how to embrace and embody our feminine traits, our feminine energy. We may not have learned how to develop healthy relationships with the feminine. externally. Therefore, that will reflect on the internal and vice versa. So it's about learning who we are. And in order to learn who we are, we need to soften. But in that softening process, it's making sure that we do not forget the warrior, the lion, the king. Do you know what I mean? That is within us. We do not let go of that. We hold on to it. Because if you lose it.
Have you ever read a book called The Four Archetypes? The Lover. It's called The Lover, the King, the Warrior, and the Magician. And it talks about there's 4 eternal archetypes within like the masculine energy inherent in the universe. And I'll just use I'll use King for an example. You know, we're trying to fulfill and bring out our King energy within us, which is inherent. But many men in the West, they haven't gone through an initiation. Like men in different tribes across the planet normally go through an initiation through like, as like a teenager, they'll be left in the forest something like overnight, and then they'll get bit by ants all night, and then they come back and then they're a man, for instance. And in the West, we've never done that. So a lot of adult men, you know, around our age, even like say like 30, 35-year-old men, and they're running businesses or their relationships. And if something doesn't go right, instead of being a king, they actually have the shadow aspect of the king because they haven't gone through the initiation. And so they call, in the book, they call it the high chair tyrant. And it's like, so imagine you're in a high chair as a child and you're the center of attention in the kitchen, and your mum loves you and you're the center of attention. Whatever you want, he'll give it to you. If you haven't had an initiation to become a man, then that kind of like psyche still exists within you. And so when like you ask for something, when you're the manager of a company and someone doesn't give it to you, you spit your dummy out and you become a high chair tyrant. And it's this concept that like we have to go through initiations in the West as men. I think I'm going through mine right now. I'm living alone in Manchester. It's the first time I'm living totally alone with no one there. I've got to look after myself. I'm having to understand about the energy crisis and making sure I've got money to eat. And if I don't feed myself, no one's gonna feed me. And it's quite a deep initiation I'm kind of going through. And do you feel you've gone through an initiation? Because when I speak to you, I know I'm speaking to a well-rounded man, and I can feel the balance of masculine and feminine. So something must have happened to you which allowed the boy to die. You may have muted yourself, by the way. Yeah, you've muted yourself.
Sorry, I was rolling a Zubi in it.
Yeah, go on, say that again.
Yeah, I still feel as if this kind of initiation phase is ongoing at the moment. And same. Boy, I reckon over the past two and a half years, this is a process, just on reflection. So thank you for asking the question first and foremost, because you've given me the opportunity to look at myself from a different angle. But yeah, a couple of years back, you know, Black Lives Matter and all of that started kicking off, all of the deception, COVID, you know?
Glad you said that, yeah.
And of course, like for me, at that stage, I was in a relationship, you know, on a mindset of building a family and everything. You know, I had my 2 children and that. And I just came to this realization, bro, like this is not me. This is not what I want. This is not what I desire. You're not the partner for me. I don't want more children in the future. Do you know what I'm saying? And I need to go for a period of time where I'm working on me. For me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I remember saying to her, like, yo, like, I want to do celibacy. I want to go to China and train with the Shaolin monks and da-da-da-da-da. And the response was, what about sex? That was the response, bro. Right, and I was just like, raw, like everything I've just told you, like everything that I've just shared with you that I want to go and achieve in my life in order for me to fill my cup. And your response was, what about sex? And it was just like, okay. So boom, me and this person separated. Now, don't get it twisted. This person was an incredible woman. Do you know what I'm saying? Lovely, nurturing, caring, funny, creative, all of that, bro. But I had to make this conscious decision to end this relationship in order to free myself and then enable me to go on whatever journey it was that I was destined to go on. Yeah. So boom, we separated. She moved out. Now I'm in a 3-bedroom house in Wales. Man grew up in Bristol, so I'm not even in my home city. And yeah, I'm in a 3-bedroom house. And it's just like, you got to survive, bro. That was 2020, do you know what I mean? I left the yard like at the end of 2022. So I lived in the big old house, not by myself, because my son ended up living in with me. You know, I had a couple of friends that stayed with me over a short period of time. But that period there, like you touched on, the element of cooking for yourself, navigating through the bills, paying the bills, making sure you got the income, then becoming a full-time dad, looking after my son, making sure that he's cool, getting him into school, taking him out of school, homeschooling him, doing common law, fighting against the system, claiming back my taxes, claiming back all of my water, gas, electric bills. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Fighting against bailiffs that are coming to try and charge me for fines or the low emission zone in London. Do you know what I mean? Fighting against them, having a bailiff put a clamp on my car, and then making him take it off, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to stand on my own 2 feet, and it just felt like I was all alone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had no support. Like, I never had a mum to turn to or a dad to turn to. Or, do you know what I'm saying? There's this element of feeling like a burden if you needed to ask for help. So that initiation phase of really starting to develop the ability to trust in, rely on, and honor yourself and what it is that you're capable of bringing to the table. That was kind of the beginning of this transitional phase that I'm currently within. You know, then from being in the house, like you say, living by yourself, implementing the daily practices, rising up 4 o'clock in the living room, meditating for 30 minutes before doing journaling, do you know what I mean? Before preparing my day for homeschooling for Tesh to get his, do you know what I mean, his word of the day, our group meditation. Like, yeah, it was a lot working up towards it. Now on reflection, because funnily enough, like the way that life is at the moment is very, very different. It's like realizing what I was able to do. Thank you for asking me that question again, bro, because by just sitting here and reflecting on it, it's kind of like I'm able to realize other areas of my power. Do you know what I mean? And what I am able to do. One thing, being a father from the age of 20, bro, I'm 35. So, boom. One thing for me, I was a dad, father of 2 by the age of 22. And then from there, it was like living with dad, living with mum, getting a relationship done, living with dad, living with mum, getting a relationship done. Yeah, these cycles. But one thing I wanted to establish was a home, a safe space for me and my children, somewhere for me to be able to create that family unit. And, you know, looking back now, like I did that, bro. And albeit I don't have that in the same sense anymore, but I did that. I was able to do that. I was able to achieve it. And now finding myself in a position where like I have come back home, different to what home would have been back in the day. You know, I'm with my stepmom, my sister's mum. You know what I mean? That's my mum. Yeah, and you know, it's kind of like I'm back home, but it's like home 2.0, because home 1.0 was not healthy for me. It was necessary at the time, but it wasn't healthy for me. That toxic environment with my mom, my stepdad, and that, you know, so coming back and being welcomed into this environment and being made to feel at home here, and then being presented with the opportunity to really just hit the factory reset button and be like, all right, you're 35 now. It's kind of like at some stage midpoint. Do you know what I mean? That transitional phase, of like, you know, as you're young, now you're mature. And it's like reflecting on everything that I have managed to achieve, establish, accomplish over the past, let's just say 25 years, yeah, or 20 years. And boom, I came back to Bristol with nothing. Do you know what I mean? I slept in a van one night, slept in a hotel the next night. People were like, where are you going? What are you doing? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. And then boom, my sister hollered and, you know, explained what I go on. And funnily enough, due to my childhood, I hold certain people within family, you know, certain relationships at arm's length. It's a protective mechanism, stems from childhood wounds that I'm currently trying to work through, you know. But yeah, it was like, raw, you've got to open up and receive. One thing that is very important for men to understand is okay to ask for help. Do you know what I mean? To ask for help doesn't make you any less of a man. Like actually opening up and being receptive to help, receptive to love, nurturing, criticism, whatever it is necessary. And I think, you know, as men, we develop this mindset that we're men. We've got to carry the weight. We've got to keep the bag on our back ourselves. We can't ask for someone to carry just one item in the bag
Yeah.
just to make it a little bit easier, but we can and we need to start doing so. These are the elements of softening that are necessary. Do you know what I mean? And for me, that transitional phase now is like the initiation is taking place. And in my masculine, I feel I'm there, bro.
Mm.
In a way of feeling like I have been initiated as a man, but I'm still working through certain unhealed wounds from my childhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And yeah, that version of me that I'm working to become, that, you know, naturally we do work to achieve or fulfill after initiation. It's like you can have your initiation, but just for me at the moment, just because of those childhood wounds, it's like the initiation just hasn't. It's like it's an extended purge.
Wow. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know how if you do ayahuasca, like, and boom, you're gonna go on your journey, but first you need to purge. You need to, you know, rid of all the toxins and parasites from the system. And it's like, you know, you're on your journey, bro, but you still got to purge. So yeah, sitting with guys around a campfire, like-minded brothers, you know, brothers from ends, brothers from corporate businesses. You know what I'm saying? We're talking business owners. We're talking like top level managers in big companies and corporations to man them that is familiar with road life, very familiar with road life, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? And to be sitting around this group of men, a diverse group of men, all powerful in their own individual right, and to talk, to share my story, to share my pain, to stand vulnerable in front of them and be transparent in certain respects. Bro, that is just a reminder in itself of like what you're capable of, what I'm capable of.
It's a real healing. It's like the having that circle of other men charges up your true divine masculinity when you can see it within others, you know. I just want to say as well, you know, if I could share in this space how courageous you are. I wasn't aware that you had 2 children. I wasn't aware that you was standing on the front lines against the bailiffs and sovereignty and not paying for toxic water that's killing us and all of the things that I'm standing up for, educating myself and doing. But I'm doing it as a single man by myself with absolutely no responsibilities and no children. And I still feel the amount of courage that's required every morning. You know, I have to rely on the strength of my morning prayers every day to keep me going, because we are going up against Babylon, Satan, the entire dark system. But I'm not doing it having to be responsible for 2 children's lives. So what you've done is, you know, I would not to say it's a journey, but you're embodying true masculinity much more than I even could imagine, because I haven't walked that path, which is still within me and it will come. Fatherhood. So to do what I'm doing, because I know who I am and I know how much courage I need to do what I'm doing, but to also embody fatherhood is one of the most noble thing a man our age could be doing right now, King. Like it's incredible, because you're not just responsible for your life. Like I always think to myself, fuck it, you know, if like they can arrest me, I'll just sit in a prison cell for 10 days and fast and not accept any of their tea because I entered their jurisdiction. I'll just pray for 10 days and fast. But when you're a father, there's so much that you could say there's more fear that's involved. There's more
100%.
So much more things you have to embody. And then also, can I mention that you've also realized how satanic schools are and brought them out. It seems you're educating them yourself.
Well, no, I was. But what happened was my eldest son, and bro, this is what I'm saying. This initiation phase is real. There's a lot of humbling situations that unfold throughout this journey. A lot of lessons that have to be learned. And my son last year, he was with me for 1.5 years. Last November, decided to go back to his mum's. We didn't speak for 6 months. His choice, and it was honored. My youngest, they're both the same mum, but my youngest, we have a different relationship to my eldest. And yeah, we spoke only a few weeks ago for the first time, and I was like, Tesh, I just need to know, like, well, go on. Do you know what I mean? Car, I don't get what happened. The whole situation was mad. but like I just didn't get what happened. And you know, like after a little while of him, you know, feeling uncomfortable with trying to share what he wanted to share, he just hit the nail on the head when he shared, like, I just wasn't ready for what it was that you were teaching me. You see what
Wow.
I'm saying?
Wow, wow, wow.
And I had to sit with that. It's something that, you know, it came up to me in a meditation over that period that I wasn't seeing and speaking to the children. But yeah, realizing that, boy, you know, like as a father, you know, we're doing what we're doing as individuals, fighting the system, trying to build empires, whatever it be. But then as a father, it's like I've had to go through this transitional phase of, you know, trying to be the best dad possible. And it got to a stage where it was like I was trying to give my son everything that I didn't have. And I was trying to be the role model for my son that I needed when I grew up, but then having to remember that my son isn't me. So therefore the role model that he needs
Isn't the role model
is
you
not
need.
the same said role model that I need. So
Wow.
now I'm having to try and parent, nurture, and care for my own inner child, whilst also caring for another child, but not really knowing how to show up for that child.
Wow.
And still trying to figure out how to show up for myself. It's humbling, bro. It's humbling. Wow. You know, having like I've fought through the system courts. You know what I mean? I've had like the kid's mum try to put court orders on me, you know, due to the children being exposed to domestic violence and shit, bro. You know, I've fought the system, bruv. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I've worked in schools, I've worked in secure units for youth offenders. Like, man, know the system. You know, so therefore I had to fight the system. Man got stopped from seeing my children for 3 months. Man went to the courts, sat in the office with one of the CAFCAS representatives, yeah, and they were like, yeah, boom, okay, you know, for the court hearing, mum has said that all is good. She just wants to get a court order put in place in order to for you to re-establish a relationship with the children. I said, okay, that's fantastic news. I said, but you need to answer me some questions because this is all seeming a little bit too blasé for my liking. I said, taking into consideration that this whole case has come up due to the fact that I made allegations that my children were the victims of domestic and emotional abuse, yeah, right? Then there's a court order that's put on me to prevent me from having access to my children, bearing in mind I'm the one that raised the concerns. So I've been prevented from seeing them. All of these application processes have been carried out, C1A, C100s, all of that. These application forms, there's misinformation on them. Like the person who's made the application, being the kid's mum, has got the son's name wrong. There's parts on, I've still got all the paperwork, like got parts of the application where it's contradictive, like literally, do you fear for your children to be abducted? No. Why are you making this claim? Because I feel like my children's dad are not gonna bring them back. Like, bro, contradiction on the application. And now we're sitting in the CAFCAS room before I go into this room, the courtroom. All of these concerns that have led to me being prevented from seeing my children for 3 months. And now everything's calm. We just got to walk in there. Do you know what I mean? Sit down and smile to the judge, and I'll be able to have access to my children. I said, let me ask you, with that, she was like, oh, I wasn't aware of all of this. I wasn't aware. I'm going to have to ask you to leave, and we're going to have to call mum back into the room. Boom, they call mum back in, go through, obviously she has to look at all of the documents and everything now. Mum comes out, she calls me back in. She's like, oh, right, well, we need to talk because mum's raised some concerns, you know, regarding you and your relationship with the children. And I said, I don't want to hear anything you've got to say. Because if mum had concerns, she would have raised them right away. Not when I've raised my concerns. Because remember, I'm not the one that made the application, mum is, but mum didn't bring her concerns to the doorstep. I said, I got one question to ask you and one question only. I said, if I am to fight against this system in order to gain full access to my children because this system is fucked up, how long is it going to take until I could possibly even see them? The woman said it could be a year, maybe even more. I said, say no more. I'll deal with it myself. I went in the courtroom. I got exactly what I wanted. I left the courtroom, and I spent any opportunity that I had with my children, giving them the belief, the tools, and the know-how needed in order for them to protect themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? Wow. The system's fucked, bro. Yep. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, when we talk about how we are, like, disempowered as men to be able to protect our children.
Yeah, yeah.
When there's women out there that are being empowered, and like, it's not to say that all women are bad, you know, all mums. No. There needs to be balance, yeah? There's so much talk going around of dads this and men that and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm all down for accountability. I've not been perfect, my bro. Do you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, there needs to be balance. And the system is really, really empowering and in favor of the feminine more so, ultimately leaving us as men to feel disempowered, to feel useless, to feel helpless. So something has to change. And in order for things to change, we need to fight the system. We can't adhere to what it is telling us, and we need to live this particular way. Do you know what I mean? Like, look at when this convict thing, Gussa. It's easy enough to ring home and tell the students' parents they've got to do homework, because mum on the end of the phone ain't gonna be like, listen, I'm stressed. Anxiety's getting the better of me. Do you know what I mean? I'm struggling with my mental health because my children are having breakdowns every day because they're struggling with the work that they got to do, and I haven't got the ability to be able to help them. But you're ringing me and telling me that I've got to do this. Bro, are you going to tolerate that if a school teacher rings you and tells you what you got to do at home with your own pitney?
It's insane. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine.
No chance. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing. It's realizing that we get pushed to the side, and they can program and they can put pressure on others, and others will crumble.
Why I really respect you, because it is, listen, this universe is very strict and it's cause and effect. And for instance, people will be annoyed at the way that teachers teach their children, but at the end of the day, they woke up and they put their child in that school. Do you know what I mean? Like, even though it's very difficult and it seems like the right thing to do, or like, you know, people decide to wake up and pay taxes. People decide to wake up and go for a job. Like, even though it seems like it's what you have to do as a human, it's not. I was having a conversation with a Buddhist leader of mine, one of the leaders of the SGI actually, and he was talking to me and he was asking, what you're doing for work right now? And I'm saying, I'm not working. Right now, I just absolutely refuse to. Something within me is telling me, you need to pioneer a brand new earth. You need to build a new empire, like the whole new world. And that requires for me not even going out and using my sweat equity to chase an asset like the money with a pedophilic royal family built on it. Like, I believe I don't have to shake hands with Satan in order to move forward in any way. And it's like, you know, it's difficult, but we also have to be accountable as humans. It's like, how much are we relying on the system or giving ourselves up to the system? So it's about taken ourselves away from it now, and for you it's so much more difficult because you're co-parenting. I don't know what your baby mother's views are on the world, but you know, I remember one time I did a podcast with a friend and he was like a hardcore vegan, but his baby mum didn't give a fuck about it at all and she loved McDonald's. And it was just like the simple kind of battle of like, when the child's with you, it's learning one thing and then it goes back and then it becomes basically all unlearn if it's spending more time with the mother. And it's like,
yeah, that's exactly what it is. Do you know what I mean? And that's exactly what it is. It's a very material and a very non-material existence that the children have. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm very time over money. Like, when we spend time together, we're gonna go climb a mountain, we're gonna have fun. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna learn, you're gonna grow, we're gonna expand together. Whereas on the flip side, it's just a material thing. It's not to take anything away from intentions, but it's in a standing. Do you know what I mean? Like, my son, seeing him for the first time, man's rocked up like for the first time a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, ain't seen him in months. Like, my man's rocked up, freshest of crepes, new Apple Watch. Do you know what I mean? Just looking fresh. And it's like, it's the material side of things. Whereas me, I was at the stage when he was living with me where it's like, we don't have a TV in the living room. We don't have a sofa in the living room, bro. Mm-hmm. You got my bed and I sleep on the floor.
Wow. Yeah.
You know them one there? Like, I'm talking like where I was leading up to Vipassana meditation. So I'm challenging myself to days of silence, days of no phone.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? So understanding, yeah, what the children have to battle with is this conflict between the physical desires, the material desires that all children want. Do you know what I mean? But also there is the mindset we have a good relationship. Dad's cool. Yeah, dad's cool. We go out, we have fun. Do you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, dad's serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Dad's serious. Like, and with that, you can have cool and serious, or you can have all of the material things and none of the nurture.
It's amazing because this level of children, this generation, they're the first ones in our ancestry to really, because of fathers like you and how I'll become, and many women out there that are much more spiritually aware, that they're the first kind of generation of children that are going to start to be able to experience from young, quite like they can start to play in playgrounds that are quite spiritual. You know what I mean? They can start to experience, like, you know, the things that you're teaching your son. I can only imagine at his age, you didn't have a fucking clue about some of this stuff, you know? So it's
Not
like,
at
wow,
Not at all.
to introduce to them at such a young age.
Yeah.
We got to be patient with them because you're planting seeds though. So that's the most powerful.
And bro, there was the element of like my inner child, yeah, becoming frustrated at my own son because my inner child's looking at him like, look at what you've got, bro.
Wow, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Look up, like one of my brethren said it to me, and he was like, yo, like, he is living my childhood dream. One of my brethren said that, referring to my son, and I was like,
wow,
I ain't never looked at it like that. Because naturally, what we do, we try to give our children what we didn't have. But yeah, it's hard, bro. But my eldest, most definitely. My youngest is, but me and him don't have as tight a relationship. He's more of a mummy's boy. Teshon more of a daddy's boy. It's just the way it's always been from day one. When my eldest decided to move into me, my youngest had the opportunity to, let's just say, profit off of what was happening. Do you know what I mean? Now I'm here. I'm the golden child. I'm going to get paid. Like, so he's chilling. He didn't really want to bother with that. But Tesh, obviously, he was living with that. Tesh was coming on the walks with us. Conscious Kings movement. 17 man around the campfire last year in the middle of nowhere. My son's there, bro. Wow. 17 man on top of a mountain. He's the first one to the top, bro. He's the one recording with the camera. He's giving interviews. He's bro. Man's 15 with knowledge and wisdom, you know, on levels that we were probably trying to achieve in our early 20s, bro. It's just the application of it that will come over time, man.
Talking of your Conscious King movement, because I want to ask you one more question, and then I think we'll wrap it up. I think this will be a beautiful first conversation.
Yeah, bro.
So you're kind of the founder of a. Could you explain that quickly? And then I've got a question.
Yeah. So, Conscious Kings movement, a group bringing men together. Do you know what I mean? Something that I established. Funnily enough, Mind, Body, and Soul Motivation is, my baby. Something I created as a way to start inspiring and supporting other people to go on a journey with their mind, their body, and their soul. Yeah. From that, I started connecting with nature. I was living out in Wales. So being out in Wales, going through a difficult time, struggling with like my mental health challenges with the children and all of that, I started just seeking healing, headed out into nature and found the healing that was needed. So with that, I wanted to share it. So started arranging these walks for the man them out in nature. We were climbing up mountains, going out to waterfalls and that. And initially it was called the Brotherhood Movement. COVID disappeared and everyone went back to normal. And so the Brotherhood movement kind of fell to the wayside. Last year, decided to get the walks up and running again. With that, I was on my own journey, still out in nature, doing a bit of wild camping. We got the movement up and going again. We had a few walks and then we arranged a wild camping trip. Right. So we ended up with 17 men in the middle of the woods in the Brecon Beacons wild camping together. And it was that realization, this was just over a year ago now, that this is something greater than just men coming together and going on walks, you know what I'm saying? There's a heap of man sitting around the campfire cooking different foods, different conversations. We got plant-based vegans, we got alkaline vegans, we got meat eaters, you know what I mean? We got carnivorous, is that the right word? Like carnivores, like people that are just straight meat eaters. Bro, it's just like you're sitting back and you're seeing people from all different walks of life come together and unite. And it just kind of, it came over me, bro. It was like, we need more of this. We need more of this. Men need to come together and remove these barriers that separate us. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, if one's a vegan, he can't roll with a meat eater. You know, them one, like, just a certain mindsets. And also what it does is it gives people, and this is why it's the Conscious Kings, because it gives us an opportunity to expand our conscious awareness. Because by talking to other brothers that are on their own individual journeys, that incorporate different practices into their lifestyles as you, that eat different foods or live in different areas, you know, what it does is it gives us an opportunity to expand our awareness, expand what we have within us, learn something new, share something new, normalize experiences. Boy, I've been going for it, you know, I've been struggling, not long come out of a breakup. You know what? Me too, bro. Okay, a sense of belonging. And bro, by bringing the kings together, what it does for me is it fills my cup massively. Do you know what I mean? To just see men coming together, seeing brothers out in nature. Yesterday, we got man on mountains getting lost. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm getting videos sent to me, and there's man them. You know what I'm saying? Being like, boy, looks like we're stranded on the side of a mountain, you know. And bro, when I'm visualizing this in my head, it's like, look at what's being achieved. When we're walking up and down these mountains, there ain't no group like it, brother. People look surprised.
Wow.
And we carry ourselves with positivity. Good morning, good afternoon, love. Yeah, man, have a good day. Not far to go now. Oh, this is a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, we're on the mountain just like everybody else. It's just, obviously, the group of brothers looks a lot different than most other groups that be on the mountain. But at the same time, that don't mean that we don't belong on the mountain. That don't mean that we don't have the ability to conquer the mountain. You know, and it's just bringing guys together and helping brothers realize that, you know what, when we come together, when we support one another, when we push one another, the ability to achieve greater things becomes easier.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It becomes easier. So the idea of bringing men together in order just to support one another on our journeys as individuals and a collective is a gift. But then also the other gift is then being able to have the opportunity to plant seeds of positivity amongst these brothers regarding, you know, certain practices that I incorporate into my life, or certain mindsets that I've developed or overcome. Do you know what I mean? Certain things that I've struggled with, using my story, using my journey, my vulnerability, using my strength, using my passions in order to plant those seeds into these guys, and just hope that some of those seeds are watered and grow, because they're the ones that will water them. It's about, we're all on a journey, bro. You're on your journey. I'm on my journey. Now, there's similarities within our journey, bro. But then there's also a whole heap of differences within our journey, bro. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, no one's journey needs to look the same as anybody else. And it's like I say with the kings, it's like we all speak to the king within us and within one another. You know what I mean? We all have parts of us that we may not necessarily be proud of, but we can choose how to show up each day of the week. We can choose. And also there's times when we need to choose to show up as a certain part of ourselves because it's necessary, not because we want to, but because it's necessary. And honoring that as well, not being too hard on yourself when you do have to shut somebody down and tell them about their backside if they're dishonoring your boundaries. Don't beat yourself up for that. We're all human. But as long as we're working on a journey, or we're on a journey working to become better versions of ourselves, to become a little bit healthier, mentally and physically. Do you know what I mean? To just have a more open and positive mindset. Be more optimistic rather than pessimistic. Do you know what I'm saying? Be more open to the idea of, if someone comes to you and says, bro, I'm struggling, rather than being like, come on, man, don't be soft. Be like, what do you need, bro? How can I show up for you, bro? How can I support you, bro? Giving men the tools. Say that again, sorry?
So don't just be false positive and just, you know, like actually try and put yourself in that person's shoes and actually give the, you know, like go through the rough times with them.
So check this, bro. We'll end it on this story here, just as a perfect example, yeah?
Perfect.
So we climbed the mountain yesterday, Scaffold's Pike, the highest mountain in England, yeah? Now, we did Snowdonia last year. Snowdonia was tough, but I ain't never experienced nothing like Scaffold's Pike, bro. I'm still in bed. My legs are mashed up, bro. Like, it's one of them ones where I'm just going to be making sure I look after myself today. We got to the top. It was a beautiful day on the, like, beautiful climb. We got to the top. Next thing you know, clouds come. Rain. Mission is to get to the bottom. Clouds are breaking up the visibility to the stage where you can't really see much at all ahead of you. The group gets split up into 4 different groups. Yeah.
Wow.
So we got 3 groups of 3 and a group of 6. One group of 3 and the group of 6 made it to the bottom, made it to the car park that we'd parked up in, yeah. The other 2 groups made it to the bottom, but on different areas of the mountain, bruv.
Wow.
They were having to catch taxis back, and do you know what I mean? Got split up. Now, I have to hold my hand up. Man is the facilitator.
Yeah.
And I was at the front. Do you know what I mean? So boom. Obviously, this is a whole heap of inconvenience for people. 3 man spent 8 hours on the mountain, bro. 4 hours going up, 4 hours coming down, bro.
Wow.
So I'm stood at the bottom of the mountain now thinking like, boy, this is a sticky situation. Walking up the mountain, I was getting cramp in my legs. But I'm at the bottom thinking, I'm going to have to go back up because we got no signal and we can't get hold of the man then. We're like, this is sticky. I'm just stood in a telephone box, smoking my spliff, and I'm reasoning, I'm reflecting, and I'm thinking, you fucked up. You fucked up. Sense of shame, guilt, all of that's come through. Do you know what I mean? Anyways, boom, we get back to the campsite. Every man gets back to the campsite, yeah? And there's this sense of disappointment in self. And there's this sense of wanting to retreat. Do you know what I'm saying? Try and brush it under the carpet like it didn't happen. But of course, that is not how you carry yourself, brother. So having to have the humility and the integrity to gather the group together and apologize and take accountability. Do you know what I mean? For my 5 minutes of irresponsibility of being at the front. To sit there and apologize to each individual and just be like, I'm sorry for letting you down. You know, to be like, right, you know, to obviously extend an offer to each individual that had to get a taxi because that's obviously a financial burden. For them. It's hard, bro.
Wow.
But it was necessary and it was empowering, bro. Do you know what I mean? We ain't fucking perfect. Everybody wants to be out here beating their chest like they're perfect. I ain't got no fucking flaws. I don't make no mistakes. Do you know what makes me so fucking powerful, bro? It's that I'm willing to sit here and own it up. Do you know what I mean? Own up to the mistakes that I make. Learn from them. Take accountability for it. Do you know what I mean? Right my wrongs. We ain't fucking perfect, and we don't need to be. We don't even need to try and strive to achieve that. But as long as you remain real and raw, you know what I mean? With integrity. What more is needed? What do you know what I'm saying? So boom. We got to the top of the mountain, we got to the bottom, bro. And I sat there and I beat myself up so much. And the maddest thing is like I sat down and I apologized. It was necessary. I did what I needed to do. Everybody was blessed, bro. Laughing, joking, sharing stories about what I'm like. And you kind of sit back. And today I've spoken to a few guys and I'm just like, you know, again, just want to apologize and da-da-da-da-da. And they're hitting man back and they're being like, bro, listen, like experience of a lifetime. At that moment.
Wow.
At that moment.
Yes.
It was like, why?
Yeah.
This is sticky, but like, I wouldn't change it for nothing. Wow. Like, and when man's hearing that, and it's just like, you know, sometimes we can be hypercritical of ourselves. We're all on this journey, and everyone's journey looks different. There's similarities, but there's also a whole heap of differences. But it's like, don't be so hard on yourself, man.
No doubt.
As long as you know in your heart of heart that you're showing up with pure intentions, that you've got no bad intentions to on anybody. Do you know what I mean? That you're not trying to do anybody wrong. You're just trying to survive. You're spreading love. You're trying to plant seeds and inspire other people. Don't be so hard on yourself, man. Because there's people out there that are doing a lot less.
Mm,
There are
mm.
people out there that are contributing to the world in negative ways and celebrating it.
Wow, you're so right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
by stepping out with men, leading men into these, you know, beautiful locations and onto these incredibly challenging adventures, and taking the opportunity to introduce them to something completely new, something completely foreign in certain respects. You know, to have a group of men meditating together,
Wow. And it's new to
raising
them.
the vibrational frequency of these urban influence brothers from built up cities.
Wow. That's the
You know
dream.
what I'm saying? Like, it's powers, bro. And it's like, do you know what?
That's real spirituality to me, you know. That is,
There's a
you
lot,
know.
there's a lot more worse things that one could be doing. You know,
Mm,
we all have this idea of how something should look, how it should unfold. But actually, let's look at the impact that it's having. Let's
yeah.
look at the positive ripple effect that is being created. Let's focus on that, because
Yeah.
ultimately that's what's important. You know, the lives that we touch as individuals, they got like there's no telling how many lives you impact.
Mm,
Even when we're on the mountain, bumped into one guy. I'm so close to the top, and I don't want to stop. But about 15 meters ahead of me, there's some guy sat down. He's dressed in some big green furry something, looking like Kermit the Frog with a bike helmet on, and he's all furred up. And as I'm walking up, I can hear him. He's like, "My mission is just to put smile on people's faces." He's talking to 3 people. And he's like, "Yeah, just out, you know, just trying to, you know, raise the vibration and spread positivity." And
wow.
naturally, I couldn't help it. Even the man them know, they're like, "Yeah, Lamont, he's gonna stop and talk to that guy."
Mm,
But I
mm.
stopped. I stopped, and we spoke. And I shared my story. I shared why we were here. And there was a lady there, bro. And as I'm sharing my story, she's crying. She's
Wow.
like, "Can I hug you?" She's hugged man. I gave every single one of them a hug before hugging the big furry guy. And it was just like the knock-on effect that that will have. They'll never forget that moment. I'll never forget that moment. Do you know what I mean? It just goes to show people, you know, that may not necessarily have the opportunity to mix and blend with people like myself, that actually, you know what I mean? We're out here and we're doing positive things.
No
Not
doubt.
not not all of the shit that you see on the news.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Real
You know what I
life.
mean? On the media, none of that. We're out here and we're doing positive things. And hopefully then next time you may see someone who looks similar to myself, and rather than you kind of naturally fall to the stereotype, you'll be
Mm,
like, "Nah, man,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
that lovely guy on the mountain." You know what I
yeah.
mean? So is that we're changing the narrative. We're changing the narrative and showing that actually, as brothers, as urban, inner city influenced individuals, we are still human beings that can carry ourselves with love and integrity and be respectful, and you know we can still push ourselves. And do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're challenging the narratives, like removing all of these barriers and blockages that are preventing us from connecting with everybody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? This whole black and white, you know, negative, positive, feminine and masculine. It's just, there are divides, and let's find our balance. Let's bring togetherness and make it a normality.
No doubt. That's the
You
most
know what I'm
fucking
saying? And so